and literacy competencies in the classroom. And so we've got new expectations, binding expectations on school boards. We have new supports in the classroom. We have a modern curriculum with new financial literacy resources, a new literacy curriculum that follows the precise advice of the Ontario Human Rights Commission when it comes to reverting to phonics and the inclusion of cursive writing and evidence-based instruction. So we're looking forward to building capacity and getting these kids back on track.
Will Ontario bring in policies like we've seen in New Brunswick and now Saskatchewan to require that parents be informed if their children change gender identity at school? And I would love to hear from Patricia about this as well.
Look, I think it's important to note that every school must be safe for every child. I think we understand, though, that parents, must be fully involved and fully aware of what's happening in the life of their children. I mean, often there are health implications, and I think we have to respect the rights of parents, recognizing that these can be life-changing decisions. And I think parents want to be involved so that they can support their kids. And I think that's a really important principle.
Is that you are going to require it then, like with legislation?
We're simply making clear as a province that we believe parents should be fully involved, fully aware of what's happening to their children. And these are significant changes, and they have a right to know. And so we would expect school boards to be transparent with parents, as we always have.
How do you respond to the criticism we've heard from, that it puts some LGBTQ kids at risk, where maybe they're not, their home environment's not a safe place for them to be out or to have a different gender identity?
No, for sure. I mean, this is why I led with the recognition that safety must prevail, the safety of the child, both at home and in school. For there are exceptional circumstances where there can be situations of potential harm to a child. Educators are well versed on exactly what to do and who to turn to if they believe that child may be harmed for whatever reason or whatever circumstance. We will always safeguard the right of children to be safe. We'll always ensure that that is the case. Educators do amazing work to recognize the signs and the changes in behavior and energy and attitude. They really do wear many hats, and we're grateful for what they do. But there's a well-established protocol to ensure the safety of children, and I have every confidence that what has been the case for many years will continue to be, that they can leverage those that protocol if they believe something potentially could put the child at risk. But as I say, as an overarching value system, I really do believe that are fully engaged, and school boards need to be transparent with parents. I mean, they are the legal guardians. They love their kids. They want to be aware of what's happening in the life of their children in their schools. And I think that is really important that they know.
So your position is that they should, but there's not a requirement to report or anything like that, any directive like that from the Ministry of Education?
School boards will have policies. I'm just affirming to you the province's position on the matter quite clearly, which is parents have a right to know, and we will respect parental rights. We think boards must do the same.
Paul with CBC.
Yes, hey,
do you want to take away the right to strike for all teachers' unions?
No, we want to ensure there's stability for children, which is why we're going to continue to negotiate in good faith through collective bargaining right up to October 27th, have spirited discussions at the debate. And then should that not resolve the matters, we now have an independent, third-party, credible interest arbitration system that we can turn to help us resolve those issues while keeping kids in school. That's really the priority. It's what we've laid out. It's what's done in various other sectors, from healthcare to a variety of other ministries. So I think this is a sensible step forward to provide stability for kids, but it does allow us to keep negotiating and keep working hard at the table. We're going to respect that process, but we also could look forward to some stability, real stability for children, because the threat of never-ending strikes and withdrawal of services, I think we recognize it has some real, it can really set back kids, their academic and their physical and mental health too. So we've got a strategy laid out. We're encouraging boards to come, other teacher unions to come forward to work with the province, meet with us. We're meeting with 2 of the teacher unions this week. We'll meet with the 3rd one next week. Bottom line is we're going to make the case that we've got a sensible plan here that is fair for the workers, that keeps kids in class, that provides needed stability at a critical time. And I hope that they will take us up on this offer and get this deal done as soon as possible so we can move forward with predictability for families, that their kids are going to be in school for 3 straight years of uninterrupted learning.
And just wondering about the language. You called it a tentative agreement, and the unions called it a proposal. Yeah, we've reached a tentative agreement on a process.
that averts a strike by allowing us to negotiate, and in the absence of decisions being reached, we then turn to interest arbitration. But let's not lose sight of what we've been able to achieve, which is a really positive step forward. It's a tentative framework that allows us to demonstrate to parents that we're going to negotiate, we're going to work hard, but we're going to put the welfare and the interests of their kids first, to defer outstanding issues to an interest arbitration system, an interest arbitrator that is decided by all the parties. And I think that should give confidence to families that we're putting their kids first, to provide stability for their children and ensure that they get back to class, back to basics, back to learning, and to some, frankly, healing after years of difficulty in Ontario schools.
And as the school year is about to start, what is the current teacher shortage? Not helpers or anything like that. And will students have a qualified teacher in the?
Well, I think, first off, school boards will be able to speak specifically to their local needs as the employer. What I can simply note is that we have reduced the amount of time it takes to process new educators. We just passed a Bill 98, the Better Schools and Student Outcomes Act, that part of this vision is to reduce by 50% for international educators to come into the province. So we're actually cutting the processing time for certification by half. That's now being implemented. We have expanded the amount of educators we're physically hiring. We're hiring 2,000 additional ones with a focus on literacy and math and de-streamed courses. So we're putting more capacity in place, more funding in place. We're reducing the red tape for processing of certification. We're even this year permitting on a permanent basis second-year teacher candidates who are finishing their bachelor's of education to allow now to be allowed to work in schools, to have a diverse capacity. We don't want scenarios, emergency monitors coming in. We want certified educators, and that's obviously the school board. We're doing everything we can to provide the people in place, qualified people, so that they can really focus on the curriculum and help these kids learn every single day.
What do you think the timeline will be?
Right.
New achievements that you want to hit. What do you think the timeline will be that those new teachers will be in the classrooms?
Oh, I expect that school boards are very motivated and incentivized to get these individuals in schools. I do believe that we'll see higher capacity, more educators, more math and literacy instructors in Ontario schools starting this September, and they'll scale up based on the capacity on the ground. But I'm quite optimistic they're eager to get these people in schools so that they can really help lift up performance on reading, writing, and math.
Brian Lilly, Toronto Sun. I'm sure that your announcements today will be welcomed by most teachers, most parents, but you know that there's always there's a fight inside education. The level of politicization of the education system.
Right.
We saw that with a group of math leads for some of the biggest boards in the country holding a conference saying 2 + 2 = 4 equals white supremacy. So how do you say get back to basics in math, in phonics, in all these other things when you've got people who want to use math, use reading for a political agenda?
Yeah, I think what we're first of all emphasizing is that in the classroom we need young people to be taught how to learn. Not, our mission is really to teach critical thinking skills where they're encouraged to think for themselves, not to be told what to think. That's a first principle in a school, and it's why in the language curriculum we actually now mandate critical thinking skills. Part of the new reforms through Bill 98, the Better Schools and Student Outcomes Act, is literally to respond to the challenge that school boards are not focused on those academic achievement targets. So for the first time in Ontario history, I as minister now have the legal power to set binding priorities academic achievement, measurable public-facing metrics, so we can measure improvement on reading, writing, and on skills and science and math courses. We're providing incentives and a focus to school boards that has to be their area of focus. And so that's the first one. We've got accountability on schools. The second is a new curriculum that actually emphasizes fundamental skills on cursive writing, on phonics, on financial literacy, on personal budgeting. This is life skills, job skills that have been often removed from the curriculum of the past that we're now infusing. Hands-on learning, practical learning. And of course, directors of education, through their performance appraisals. We now have a role as minister in providing input on that to expectations on that. Have a wholesale reform to accountability. We're putting new resources in place, and we're sending a clear, unambiguous signal to the education system that we need to get back to basics. We need kids to learn fundamental skills. And the EQAO data proves a very real problem, which is kids have regressed on those skills. And therefore, our priority this September and every September has to be academic achievement. And we will hold school boards to account to ensure that they do that.